Hi guys, Squall here. Welcome to another Transport Fever 2 video. Well, things are going pretty well. If you've stumbled across this video, don't forget to check out the playlist and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of this stuff. And the video description has all the details of the map and the seed we're using and all the mods and everything like that. It's all in the video description. And I do welcome your comments, any suggestions and ideas you might have, any observations. I have done a few interesting things on the way, but the goal originally was to get to $1 billion. Yeah, as you know, we're well and truly past that. Today, we're going to fix a few things, look at a few things. So one of the ones I want to look at is this little goods factory that we set up. If you remember, we set up a grain down to a chemical plant, which converts the grain into plastic, and then the plastic comes here, gets converted into goods. And one of the things we did in the last video was added a train line down to Hyde, because it has quite a decent demand for goods. It was, in fact, I think the last town that wasn't getting any, if I vaguely remember. Yes, so now I think all the towns are now getting goods. I think, yeah. So there's only Ludgersall that doesn't get anything at the moment in terms of both sets of goods that it needs, and that's the machines here. We'll fix that in a future video. Princess Rispa is struggling for machines by the look of it, so we'll see what we can do with that one later, but not in today's video. Hyde, as you can see, is getting some goods, but hardly any. It's really depressing. So we set up the truck run here, and these trucks are just waiting to drop off the goods. And as you can see, you know, the drop-off position is in a good place for the goods. So why are we not getting any? Well, coming back to the factory here and looking at this, it has consumers allocated as Romsey and Hyde, but Hyde's number is very low, like 16 is hardly any. And I think the problem seems to be stemming around this. We don't have enough plastic. There seems to be a supply chain problem, shall we say. It's ready to go with the metal, with the steel, but it doesn't have enough plastic, which is strange because this factory seems to be leveling up. It's just run out of grain, but usually it has a reasonable supply of grain. And there's 3 grain farms feeding this whole platform here. But you can see none of it's been allocated here. So either we're starved of grain, or we just don't have enough plastic running through. One of the two. Now, in terms of how we're getting the plastic there, I don't know if you remember or not, but what we're doing, and it's actually this grain plastic line here, is we're bringing the grain to the chemical plant and then using the same ships to bring the plastic back here, dropping the plastic off, and then on we go with the goods. So what I'm going to do, just to try a little experiment, is I'm going to replace the plastic is getting there via ship. I'm going to replace that with trucks, which should increase the frequency of the plastic drop-off and see if that spurs this thing into action. The other thing we're going to do is start bringing more grain down here, which we'll sort out in a minute. But first of all, let's do this. So we'll need to adjust the ship line as well. So we'll just put that road in there. I'm going to need to put a truck stop somewhere here. Anywhere here will do. It doesn't really matter where we put it. We're just going to drop off right there. It's going to feed into that factory directly, and then the trucks can just turn around. That's what they should do anyway. So if we have a look at this is Ludgersall. So we'll just do a new Ludgersall. Oops, can't type. Ludgersall grain. Sorry, plastic. Ludgersall plastic. We'll give it a lightish purple color. We'll come here and we'll go there. That looks like a reasonable route, doesn't it? So we'll say you guys can just wait till full, but just wait for like 30 seconds just to keep the frequency on the lineup, and that should do it. And then we'll chuck a bunch of vehicles in here, some cargo trucks. Now plastic needs to be taken by an all cargo truck, so one of these two, but these are much faster, so we'll stick like half a dozen of these on the line, color them light purple, and then we'll assign them to Ludgersall plastic. Now what we'll then do is we'll have a look at this line here, and we will change this so that when it comes from Mitcheldean Port, it will go direct to the annex and nothing else. So at the port, it's going to pick up grain, and then at Mitcheldean Transfer, it's not going to pick up anything. I don't want you to do anything anymore, so we'll just leave it. It will never load any more plastic. It will just unload and return. And that's exactly what we want it to do. Just looking at Mitcheldean Transfer. Nope, this comes to the wrong place. I've clicked the wrong one. It should be going here. There we go. And don't load anything. That's better. Okay, so off to Mitcheldean Port, wait there for 2 minutes, come down to the annex and drop off and go back again. We will then rename this line so it just says Mitcheldean Grain. There we go. Okay, right. So we've got a direct point-to-point grain drop-off right there. We'll see if that changes the fortunes of this thing, see if it gets more grain, and we'll see if that gets more plastic fed to it, and we'll see if this starts to go up. We'll have to speed things up and see how that gets on shortly. In the meantime, if things don't get allocated here, because we are splitting these three between two different grain lines, and I do wonder if it's just a case of Lugisol winning out more. As you can see here, like, we're almost transporting everything out of here now. So I think we have a simple problem of not enough grain, which was kind of expected when the factory was growing. So what I want to do is bring more grain down here. There's more grain over here that we could use, but I kind of want to leave those for now. There is another grain store up here that we're not tapping into. And what I've done is I've cut this corner off and dropped a port here. So what I want to do is just bring some grain from there to there and then just ship it, and we'll drop it there. So it will supplement any grain drop-off. As it drops here, it will just be shifted between the two lines. And that's not a particularly long ship run, and it's quite an easy win in terms of getting some grain down there. So we'll do that now. This only needs to be dropped off, so we'll just have effectively a drop and turn around. So we'll just do that. And the actual route will take us... Well, it depends how we want to do it. We can go under or over this rail line. Come on, game. Catch up. There we go. Thank you. Okay. It's frozen right now. There we go. Nope. Yep. Okay. Doesn't like... Yeah, there we go. Right. Can I have the game, please? N. So it really didn't like editing this line at all. Blimey. That has just collapsed the game. Look at that. That looks reasonably okay. I'm just going to cancel that because that was killing my game. What we'll do is we'll come to, like, here. And then we'll come to... Just grab the end of that there. Maybe this was causing the issue. Maybe that's what was causing the problem. Because I'd like to stay on the ground, just because in case we want to tap into this at some point, I'd like to be able to just nick some trucks quite easily. But we can now do that, and then bring that up like that, change it like this, and then say OK, and then quickly go into smooth, just to make that look pretty. There we go. Right, and all we need down here now is really a depot, because it doesn't have one, of course, so we'll just stick that like that, just so they've got a truck depot. And then we'll define a line. We'll call this is Loughton Farm, so we might as well call it Loughton Grain. Like that. Loughton Grain. And we'll colour that orange, because why not? We'll go from there, we'll go to here. And we'll tell it to wait for full, but again, just, 30 seconds. And it'll drop off straight down here. Won't load anything up. We can make sure of that by... Well, there's nothing to load yet, but that's fine. Queen Street drop off. Why is it called that Queen Street? That's so weird. And then the other thing we need is a ship, which will go and pick things up. We've got a shipyard here. So again, we'll just call this Loughton Grain. And we'll need to decide what platform we're going to drop it off, or rather what dock. What do they call them? A port? No. Platform? I don't know what they call it, actually. Loughton Grain. Ooh, I don't like that. Oh, I don't like that at all. Where are you? Come here, you. Capital G, thank you very much. Loughton Grain, you can be like an orange colour again, and you can... Actually, no, we've got to change that because it's getting a bit samey. We'll go from this shipping port, and we'll go to this shipping port, and we'll have to make it a dark green. And it looks like there's a free platform because we build our stuff with the future in mind, so we've got available space, which is wonderful. Now, when you get down there is the possibility here, so think about this, there is a possibility here for these ships to bring something back. So if ever we've got some goods down here that we kind of want to take to Loughton, we do have the possibility to hook into this empty run-back line. Could take things from this port back that way and then drop them into Loughton. So bear that in mind. Because the way to get really clever with logistics routes is to reuse what you've got so that they're always carrying something both ways. Yeah, get paid in both directions is the golden rule of transportation. So that should do it. Loughton Port, when it gets there, it can load if available. So we'll tell it to wait for full load. Tell it to wait a couple of minutes like that. And then when it gets down to Mitcheldean for now, it shouldn't take anything back because there's no onward destination. Whilst it's autosave, and I just want to check this because normally when it autosaves, it doesn't remember changes you've made, but in this case, it seems to have done that. So we'll stick a few vehicles on there. We shouldn't need anything monstrously big. But before we start buying ships, let's get some trucks going here. So we want grain trucks, which are these. 38 capacity. It's a fair distance, but not insane. So we'll just stick like 8 on there and see how they get on. That's the wrong line. That is the wrong line. Loughton Grain. There we go. Off you go. Right, that should start sending stuff down to the port once we build some ships. So yeah, there's not going to be a huge capacity. So I think we'll just start off with the Axle Ps, maybe. Or even, we could even chuck in some... No, I think the Axle Ps are probably good, or maybe... Yeah, that'll do. Axle P, nothing too expensive and extravagant. We'll put 4 in there. This is only going to be... there's only one farm feeding this, so it's never going to be an extraordinary amount of grain, is it? Because the maximum they ever get to, as you can see here, is 600. So 600 grain, and these things carry 220. There's only the distance stopping it, really. But hopefully that's going to bring more grain into the mix. Hopefully this has started making grain now. There you go. So grain is starting to appear. Now that's interesting. So it's already allocating to the chem plants and the alcohol distillery, which is interesting because if you look, it's splitting it almost 50-50, but more to the chem plant. So when it gets here, it won't just go straight onto one platform. It will go onto one platform for the chem plant and one platform for the alcohol distillery, which you can basically see by looking here. There's Mitcheldean Grain. That's the one that goes down to the alcohol plant. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so that's going to get some stuff, and then the other one's going to get allocated to our chemical plant, which is what we want. Just seeing what's here. So we should get that allocated stuff. This is it's just currently loading up there, you see. But that's pretty cool. Hopefully between them, they'll kind of level out, because right now this is way too asymmetric for our needs. We may have to start hooking more grain into this. Who knows? But you know, we do want to get more grain down here. That's the end goal. Currently, it is grain starved, as you can see, so we've got to solve this problem quickly. Otherwise, this factory is never going to go anywhere, and that train line is just flushing money down the toilet right now because it's got nothing to take. Right, so that's that one. On to the next thing that we never did fix in the last video, which I said I would, was to start taking tools, because we need more demand for tools. Logisol is crying out for tools. It needs a lot more than it's currently getting. There is a distribution platform for tools. Having said that, there is a rail line for tools, and there's also a truck distribution for tools within Logisol itself. In fact, if we have a look, Logisol train tools, this is this one. It's bringing things from the port up to the transfer and dropping them here, then being distributed amongst the train platform. In terms of getting tools across here, if I'm just trying to remember how we do this now. There you go. So there's the truck stop for the tools, and it's got a good position still. Oh yes. So basically what's happening is, and this is interesting, so tools are going from the port directly into town and also to the train station, where they're then being routed onwards to the other towns. When we come in with tools from here, the game will decide how to distribute them. It will either put them on the platform for onward journey, or it'll put them back onto these truck lines. And we better just check what's going on here. Yeah, there are no filters. So these trucks can take tools right back to there, and then the other trucks will take them onto here. So it kind of gets pretty interesting at that point. But we shouldn't need to make any change. We just need to drop things off here. So let's do that. So we'll come over here, and I think we're using one of the platforms, so we'll use the other one. And we're looking to basically get over here somewhere. So we'll just come out of this right platform here, and we'll punch a line out that way. We'll just change the tunnel type to something cool and interesting. And then we want to be on this end platform. So, in the interest of tidiness, we'll kind of follow this track here. Then we'll basically branch out like that. And then we want the inside track, so we want this one. And we're trying to link to there. That's what we're trying to do. That looks okay to me. So we'll say okay to that. And then we'll grab the second track. Okay, it's not wanting to snap, so we'll come in from this side. It's been a bit weird. So we'll just give it a bit of encouragement. There we go. And then we'll have to, of course, tidy the line up and make sure that we've got a way of feeding trains onto this line. There we go. Right. So we'll just smooth that out. Same with that. Okay, so there's our extension line. So there's actually a depot here, but if we chuck trains onto there, they can come into... Is there a diamond there? There is a diamond there, so they can come across onto here and jump that way. So that depot down there should be able to feed these things. So this is Henley. Henley to Ludgershall is going to be the line. So Henley... Ludgershall Tools. Let's see, where's that gone? Henley Tools. Henley Ludgershall Tools, right. We're going to want a lightish blue colour, and we're going to come from here. And we're going to go there. Beautiful. Now, it's taking one line at the moment because we've not signalled it yet. So we'll drop the signals in, make sure we're on one way, and we will go just after the splits, somewhere about there, see where we end up. So the last stop was placed here, so we'll do the reciprocal there, and then we'll turn off auto sig and just make it a little bit more fine-tuned on the entrance there, and just knock this back a touch just so that they're not too close together. So you've got a reasonable... Normally the 400 meters, that's now, you know, whatever, 300 and something and a bit more on that side. Just try and space them out. And if we look at the line now, yes, it's perfectly done. Now, how many cars do we need on this thing? Well, if you look at the shipment, there's probably capacity for 200 and something. So we don't want to go completely ham on this. One train probably will be enough if it's powerful enough. So maybe like a 246, and then what are we taking? Tools. So we want box cars. If we go for that's a 260 capacity. I doubt it will fill that up completely, but we'll have to tweak it as we go along. So we'll see how it gets on. Hopefully we can actually align that up. And it's the Ludgershall Tools. Out it comes, hopefully. There it is. So yeah, the game knows that it can figure its way onto that line. And that will help move more tools down that way. So that's that done. So we've fixed a couple of things there. We'll just make sure we've got enough trucks here for what's going on. They look like reasonably old trucks to me. So they're in very bad condition. They are going through town. We'll probably just replace them all with the better versions, stick them on a slightly higher maintenance plan. See how that gets on. Could do the same with these actually, because these are going through town as well. So we'll replace those with the bigger ones. Put them on a slightly higher maintenance plan. And that should help Ludgerslall get fed. Now, once this train line allocates, which we just have, there we go. So that's interesting. So Twickenham and Ludgerslall, but it's only allocating a couple to Ludgerslall. The game's decided it's going to chuck 4 over at Twickenham. So it deems Twickenham to have a higher demand with its 300 out of 800 compared to 300 out of 600. So it's arguably correct in its ratios. But it's out of our control now. We're bringing more tools in. We should max out that factory, and that's more or less what we're after. This thing is power level up to level 4, but is, again, very much starved for grain. This thing actually has some plastic, and it's picking up slowly. We're transporting everything that it's making, but it's still pretty shocking. How is the grain situation? So it's shown 0% because nothing's finally reached the destination yet, so don't be alarmed too much by that. We've got Loughton grain ships here. A few of them are waiting outside. That's pretty natural. It looks like it just got there. So the Loughton grain line, if you remember, we set it to wait 2 minutes. So it's going to load for 2 minutes, and then these will then space out 2 minutes apart. I don't think 2 minutes is going to be enough to space them out, but we'll keep our eye on that. So that's fixed the grain problem. So now we start looking around for something else to sort out. Okay, I've spotted an issue over here, which I'm sure you've seen before. This is the bus to train station shuttle situation again that we've seen before. If you look at these, the shuttle buses are, well, particularly this one is in huge demand, the anti-clockwise one. It's a similar story, more or less, at every station. There's just supply demand problems. These guys are all trying to go clockwise to the station. Of course, these guys are all trying to go anti-clockwise to the station. Everybody's trying to get to the station. The station itself is busy, but not out of control, right? So this is a good situation here. There's just a sheer volume problem. And as we know, the only way to solve a problem like this, given that we're already packing the best buses we can, the only way to solve this problem really, if we just take the shuttle line and then we pin that, the only way to solve this is to basically make it into a tram route, because trams have a higher capacity. So by leaving that line pinned, in fact, I'm just going to bring up the other one because the other one's a little bit easier to see and more or less follows the same path. We're just going to pin that. There we go. And then we'll get the tool out, go to tools, and then tram track tool. And what we do is we just basically upgrade. It will keep the existing road, but it will upgrade it with electrified tram track, like so. It can be a little bit frame heavy when you've got these overlay tools running. So it's just something to bear in mind. And also, when you click, it doesn't always register. Like, you know, you click sometimes, you think, hang on, I clicked that and it didn't upgrade it. That's just, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Now, I like to upgrade all the inputs and outputs of the bus stations, as we've done before. You see that? You see I didn't upgrade all of those? That one there. Cheeky. And that one there. And then we want these down here. Right, so that's, I think, correct for the light pink route. So now we just need to make sure, I think that one, pin that one, get rid of that one. This is slightly hard to see with the tool, but I think it more or less follows the same route as the other one. May be slightly different, but I think that's correct. And then we need to figure out where the heck are we going to put the tram station. This is a problematic town, Romsey, because we have kind of boxed it in with train lines. So its only growth really is that way. In terms of where we put this, well, I would always look at the cargo stuff and see, you know, stay well away from residential areas like that. Stay well away from that. So I think anywhere over here where the commercial district is something we can get away with. There's a tunnel there. But maybe something around this mark here, just to try and feed into that road. You know, the residents of this commerce won't mind too much if we do that. We'll just take a single track road. Actually make it a single track. buildable road. Drop it in like that, then go back to tools and just tramify that bit, and then also then the road that leads back to our circuit so they can actually get in there. Then what we need to do, we need to bring in the... Well, we have to decide exactly what we're going to go for. We've had this before as well. 45 capacity. The Cobra is nice. 60 kilometers an hour. It takes 45. Not too expensive. This does 70 kilometers an hour but only takes 43. I just like this one. I think it looks like a lovely modern vehicle. So I'm just going to buy a couple of them. And then what we'll do is we'll color one of them. Actually, what was the line? So light purple and dark purple. Actually, the other thing to watch out for is the symbol should change from a bus to a tram stroke bus if it's electrified properly. If you see this where it's remained as a bus, it means usually that bit of road has not been upgraded, or the game just hasn't realized yet that it's been upgraded. So looking at that one, it looks like it has been electrified, but the game's not changed the symbol yet. But sometimes it can mean you've missed a bit on your road. So anyway, let's go with a pinkish color and a dark pinkish color. We'll put him on that one, and we'll put him on that one. Okay, now the game's accepted it. It's not given us an error, which does in fact mean that everything is okay. It can navigate its way around the map. Now we just need to let these get out in the world, and we shall, if we go to this now, manage the line, manage the vehicles, we can start deciding how many of these things we want. So I would suggest to you that we'll put 8 of them on in total. So we've got 8 of those now. And then what we'll do is we will sell those. And now what we're left with is 8 big trams. And then we just do the same thing with the other one. So we duplicate and then mark it and duplicate that, which creates 4. And then mark that and duplicate again, which gives us 8. And then just clear the settings and then sell those. Okay, that's going to take time to filter around, but that should solve the little crisis that's going on over there. Over here I can see Romsey to Thatcham Pax. Now, Romsey to Thatcham Pax is literally a shuttle service with a lot of trains on it, and the finances are interesting because it kind of implies... So what we're seeing here is a lot of people seem to want to come out of Thatcham to go to Romsey, but not quite so many people want to go back. And the line as a whole is actually not even really breaking even, which is worrying. And when I'm looking at this train here, I'm seeing one sat waiting, which is really bad. So I'm thinking that there are too many vehicles on this line. You can see one waiting here. This is why it's not making money, because trains are standing around. So what you actually want here is fewer trains, but maybe bigger capacity trains. So this was a 121 capacity train, and we have 6 of them. So maybe we can get away with 4 of them, but bigger capacity. So we've got one in the station and then one en route each way. Might be the ideal way to go about this. But we want to basically beat 120 capacity. So what can we do? So we'll go to replace and see if we can get an electric variant for that. So it's a multiple unit, and we'll see if we've got anything a bit bigger. You have to make the windows a bit bigger sometimes because these mods can be a bit... So it looks like the biggest one is indeed 120 on the Twin Decks Green. On that one it's 121, so barely any better, to be honest. And 149, so that's a little bit bigger. And then 189, so that's not bad. 189 is looking pretty good there. After that, we're down in the dual stocks, which is 198. Now, they are pretty expensive to run. It's 6.8 million. I'm not, because they are a very quick train, 6.8 million. I think the cost of that might be too high. Can't actually see how much this train's going to cost. Yeah, 6.1. So I think we're going to struggle to make a profit, but it's either that or we don't move people around in the first place. The problem is the distance involved is not huge. So these trains don't... Yeah, this is a 160k train, but this one is like a 200k train. Will it ever get to 200k? Very unlikely. These multiple units tend not to accelerate, you know, instantly, as it were. So let's try this. And it's 160, capacity 189. Yeah, it's just not ideal, is it? Which was the one that had the big capacity, was it? 189 for 6.1. You may as well have the dual stocks at that point. It's only 0.7 more and it carries more people and goes quicker. So I think what we'll do is we'll do that 116 million small potatoes for somebody of our capabilities. And then we will get rid of those 2 trains. And see if that helps to alleviate some of the problems. Like 198 capacity is pretty good. So that is quite a big shuttle service right there. Now, we want these to spread out a little bit because they are clumping up. So what we could do is stick a weight on each one. So wait for full load, but like, you know, 20 seconds at each side. You know, just something, maybe 30 seconds. It won't hurt the line frequency because the frequency, it'll always be sat there loading anyway, but it just makes sure that they spread out a little bit. Click on the line. 45-second frequency, so that will probably increase because we've only got 4 trains now, but maybe it'll help get rid of the problem. We have a similar problem over here with capacity. We have already upgraded trams, but we're just not shifting it. So, I don't know if we've got bus... I think we've got tram deadlock, that's why we're not shifting it. So, we've got the same problem that we had in the last video. There's just too many things going on, isn't there? So, we're going to have to solve this problem now, because we have a gridlock station again. Right, so what I've done is you know that there's a little connecting road there, I've ditched it. I've got rid of that, and I'm now sending everything... I've put this new exit here. I'm sending everything that way. So they're all taking a longer exit route, but that gets them out of the bus station. This one's turning around because he got a bit confused. They're getting them out the bus station and giving them a chance to leave before they join. Really, the issue is traffic. In Skylines, I could ban cars from coming down this road. I can't do that in Skylines. So these cars are basically blocking the vehicles from exiting and getting on the other side of the track there because they have to cut across the traffic to do it. So that in itself is causing these problems, and there's not much I can do about it. So hopefully these will now pan themselves out a little bit because there's not as much traffic here. If that doesn't work, we're going to have to just basically send everything out this way because the traffic problem doesn't exist there, because we can't ban traffic through here, and we can't give priority either. So if I could give priority to public transport to come through, that would greatly help us in this problem, but there's not a lot we can do given the tools we have. It's just something to be aware of. The game does have limitations. That is one of them. Skylines is a bit better in that regard. But hopefully this traffic problem here will start, or passenger problem here will start to fade, because you know the trams can now get around. Meanwhile, over at the grain, it is moving. Well, hopefully it's moving everything. Appears to be moving everything. Train's loading up there. Everything's coming down here by the look of it. He's made some money. That's good. Cool. And where are you going? You're going to Mitcheldean. Cool. Right. So maybe things are looking up for this guy. Maybe he'll get more grain. This guy's starting to level. You know, we're transporting some stuff. It's looking better. So I think, you know, the trucks are increasing the frequency, and the more grain coming in is better. I still kind of feel like we should probably bring more grain in. I've got a feeling that even 4 is not going to be enough to keep, you know, this beast going. This beast is nowhere near finished power leveling yet. So I think what we're going to have to do is look at bringing more grain in from further afield. I did want to kind of keep these these granaries here. I did want to kind of keep them to be used for other things, but I think we're at the point where we're going to have to start bringing them in. So the question now is, what is the best way to bring them in? Now, given the distance, train is the obvious solution. The only issue we have is that we've got multiple train lines in the way. So at the very least, we're either going to have to elevate or tunnel, one of the two. So how do we want to do it? It's going to be interesting because we've got a road coming past here. And we've got a train line through there. So that is probably best obtained by truck. If we can truck some stuff out of this one, maybe put like a train station along here, truck that over to here, make sure this one is within reach of the station, and then we can basically go underneath that point there and come up and try and make our way into here. Now, we have done this already with some other goods, if you remember. This is this linked to the port? I can't remember. Yeah, they are linked. Blimey, Mitchell Dean Grain suddenly went a bit bonkers. Good God. I can't even cope, and they're like the biggest things in the game, I'm sure. That 300 capacity. It does annoy me the way that these platforms are limited in how much stuff you can drop off there. Basically, I think a ship of grain just came in and unloaded on that platform, and it can't cope. So grain is being lost now, which is somewhat frustrating, and does mean we need to consider our overall solution, because we can't really use that as a dumping ground, just because of the sheer size of it. If we bring in, a train load of grain to here and drop it off, and then it just instantly transports it onto the platforms, it's going to do what it's doing here. A lot of it's just going to get wasted, because until you've got a ship ready to load it into, it fills up. And so the frequency on this line, which is at 3 minutes, the frequency on that would have to be crazy good. And that is a long way. So that in itself is another limitation we're coming up against. The only solution to that is to start having multiple lines to spread the load across the platforms. We have more than one line for Mitchell Dean Grain, so that it spreads the load. But we've got one platform available, which we could use. Kind of find it hard to believe that Mitchell Dean just needs that much grain, but it's pretty thirsty, boy. As you can see, these things are coming in full, so maybe we just have to run 2 lines to that. And that way we can get more capacity at least here. Anyway, in terms of the problem, if we bring stuff into here, we are connected to that port, so we can effectively use this train line, use the track there. That takes us off pretty much where we want to go to. All we need to do is navigate our way past here. We could just bypass through here, just branch off, and then we could maybe elevate over this lot and land roughly here, and then continue as normal, as we planned. We can get rid of this if we don't want it. We just need to make sure that our station link, so if we have, for example, if we have a cargo station, high speed, 2-track like that. Unfortunately, we can't integrate it here as we'd like to, because the distance from here to there will be too much. And then we can't get automatic platform fulfillment out of it. So what we'll do is we'll work out how much we can get away with. Let's put that on straight line. So, this might be okay. Yeah, that's just about okay, I think. And then we're going to be coming here, so we'll just orient it around like that. So we'll stick that in there. We've got room to make more platforms if we need them. But that's what it would look like. And then what we can do is think about how we want to get the road from here to here. So there are options, but I think the easiest is probably... we don't need more than one. Actually, it just needs to be a drop-off road anyway, so we don't even need this. What we can do is we can come in like that. Probably have to just ditch that road a second, and then draw that in. Connect that, and then just make sure that's connected, which it is. So yeah, we can basically just have a bus stop anywhere here. Doesn't really matter. It'll just drop and go. Well, bus stop, a truck stop, sorry. And then we just need to get this road over there. Think about where we're going to have... We don't want to go anywhere near this road, that's for sure. We can connect to it from a depot point of view, assuming there is a depot nearby. Which I don't think there is. I think the depot's up there, see? But we definitely don't want to send traffic across a junction along this. We want to stay well away from that. Now, this does need to have a truck station, and there's not a huge amount of room to do it. So, maybe we can do something like... We just need to make it a fairly long platform. We do it like this. Get rid of that. And then we'll make this... quite long, like that. And then we should be able to run our road down here. And then we want to get over there. So how do we want to do this? Probably I would suggest a tunnel. It's probably the way to go, isn't it? So if we press the N key and just dig down a bit. Something like that. And then tweak it upwards. Smooth that out a bit. And then if we get our one-way road, connect back in. Too much slope. Okay, just make sure we don't have any lights here, because we really don't need lights. And then we can just smooth that out. And final check is make sure that is connected. And then all we need to do is link these two roads here. Well, maybe a bridge is the way to go. Do it like that, or we can do it like that. Actually, a tunnel probably just looks tardier. So yeah, something like that. And smooth that out. You could probably sort this out now, because that looks a bit ugly. In fact, it's probably better just delete that back a bit and connect the two and just keep it underground. God. press the N key and keep that underground. There's just no point bringing that up. There we go. Okay, so we've just got a tunnel over there. That's perfect. You could join this up to that if you want it to be connected, or just leave it as an isolated road. It really doesn't matter that much. Important thing is we give ourselves a truck stop. I think we'll stick that there like that. Okay, so that will allow us to bring supplemental grain to here. So now, how do we want to get from here down to here? The biggest problem is going to be here, because I think this has expanded its maximum capacity. I don't think we've got any more spare platforms here. There is a platform right there. You see it? But that's kind of tricky to get to, because we've got these three. You know, the blue, the turquoise, and the red are already coming in. Actually, what we want is the red one to be put there, and then the blue and turquoise come to here, and then we kind of nick one of them. So I think I'll have to quickly reconfigure this station so that we can use it again. Right, just putting the finishing touches on this. I'll show you what we've done in a second. There we go. Right, okay, and just smooth that off. And then we'll just put a little diamond down here. Not that we really need it. I can't see us using this one. But, you know, future-proofing and all that. Right, so quickly jumping back there to the station. You can see what I've done is I moved the red one, just moved this track down here, so we've got the red one coming in there. I moved the purple one, which was coming in here where the blue one is, moved it down one so that we could bring the blue one into here. So basically, the turquoise and the blue now, diamonds just over here. It just splits a bit earlier. And then what I did was use that top track there. That is currently tracked out this way, but nothing comes in from that side. So effectively, we're going to come at it from this side. And all we need to do now is just put down the signalling for the whole thing. So we'll start about here, here-ish like that. That should run us all the way through, probably to where the depot is. Yep, so there's the depot, so we'll reciprocate that. And then what we'll do is, after that bit, we'll come to here where the diamond is. We'll start on that one, and then come back, see where it meets this, and then go back the other way. Finally, we can then just put one just before and after that junction, just to make sure that that's a contention zone there. And that should be that. That should now set that up. All we need to do now is define this. So we can either pick this one or both. Depends where we want to bring in everything in one go. Probably do, given the demand that we have. So this is going to be Mablethorpe Grain. So what we'll do is we'll call this one trucks. We'll call this Mablethorpe Grain. Don't think we've got any other Mablethorpe Grain going. Give it like an orangey colour, and we'll go from there to there. We'll kick off some trucks to start dropping that off from here. So we want a lot of grain trucks. It's like those. So maybe about 10 of them, I would have thought, at least, just to get us going. Mablethorpe Grain, and then what we'll do is we'll go for a new train line, which we'll call Mablethorpe Grain. Now this will effectively be pooling two granaries together and shipping it down to the docks. So that's going to go from here, and that's going to drop here like that. So that's going to be, it's quite a long run. So at least 2 trains on that to get going, and some fairly beefy ones as well. So I would have thought Series 246 is maxed out with the biggest gondolas we can handle, which for us is 314 meters, it seems, which gives us 480 capacity. That's a huge amount of capacity. So we'll buy that, and then we'll colour that the dark orange, and then we'll assign it to Mablethorpe Grain. Now, while that's on its way, what we'll then do is edit the line. So when it gets to here, it will wait before setting off for a couple of minutes there. And the same with these things here. There's not really much point when they get over to there. There's not a great deal of point leaving too early, so we'll maybe just introduce a bit of a delay there. 40 seconds. So that's going to truck things from there to there, and then it's going to train things on its way. It's identified... Yeah, this is interesting, because everybody's throwing grain at the alcohol run. Look, tiny amounts of the chemical. Same with this. Everything is all about the chemical run and nothing going to the alcohol run. So all the new ones are just prioritizing the chem plant, and all the existing ones are prioritizing the alcohol plant. You'd think it would dynamically adjust, but you know, it'll find its own level. That train should be on its way somewhere now. There it is. That is a huge grain train. Look at that. That is a monster. I'm kind of wondering if that's probably better off being electric. I think we're going to need the power. Fortunately, this one's quite expensive. The BR185 is not bad for the money. See, if you look at the diesel on this, it has 2,000 kilowatts. Now, it is going to have to face a climb as it goes over that bridge, so 2,000 kilowatts is not a lot of power. It's going to need a lot of hauling power, this thing, so we might be better going for this, which doubles the power output. Still has the same top speed, more tractive effort, but just has a bit more oomph about it. So I think what we'll do is we'll add it, and then we'll press shift on the arrow here. That'll bring it to the front of the train. And then we just get rid of that, and then say modify, and then we recolor it, just to recolor the front. That, hopefully, extra oomph will give it a chance. You see how slowly it's accelerating. It's not even fully loaded right now. I don't want it taking a long time making this journey. I want it to get to 160 as quickly as possible. I think if we make a lot of money out of this, we'll have to upgrade it just to get that speed quickly. Looking back over here, I think we're going to have to split this line, guys. So this Mitcheldean grain line, if we go to here, unfortunately there's no copy facility for lines, annoyingly, but what we can call that Mitcheldean grain. We've actually got 2 Mitcheldean grains going, haven't we? Because this one used to have a different name. So we'll call that Mitcheldean plastic grain. And this one is Mitcheldean alcohol grain, but this is going to get split. So just so it's not entirely confusing, because now we have effectively 3 Mitcheldean grains going on. What's the shipping? There it is. Mitcheldean grain 1 and 2. That can be a very dark yellow color. Actually, it's not even a color, is it? It's really hard to see what that is. Dark blue, maybe? Might be able to get away with a dark blue. So that goes from Mitcheldean Port to Ludgershall Port. So we'll do that again. We'll go from Mitcheldean Port down to Ludgershall. Just thinking about it. It's thinking about it. There it goes. And it goes, you know what? Let's go in the same port. Why not? Let's not do that. Let's actually go to a different place. Thank you very much. And then when you get up here, we'd ideally like you as well to go to a different place if that's possible. Actually, that is not an active... Did I not put a landing bar? Ugh, dock is outside of navigable waters. So we pause it, and then we cut back the land. And then hopefully it will let us put the... No, it's nothing to do with the land there. It's everything to do with this. If you know, this is really annoying part of the game, by the way. When you put this down, it won't let me put it down. And the reason is because of the road connections that's going on back here. You see that? It's not happy. It's not there that's the problem. It's actually back here that's the problem. It doesn't like something back here. But it won't tell you what it is specifically. See that? So you have to play this odd guessing game where you start cutting back parts of the port until it suddenly lets you do it. And of course, when we start breaking these road connections, it will no doubt disconnect a bunch of these lines and break a bunch of other things. This is quite frustrating. There you go. That's a faff around with it. Basically, I had to cut back a load of land back here just so that it would realise that I could put it down. So I took the opportunity to just rebuild the port and add that extension to it. So what we're going to do now is take this Loughton grain and just punt it around the other side there of Mitcheldean Port. So we may as well move it over to 3 so it's a bit easy for it to get to from that side. In terms of our alcohol grain line now, so we've got alcohol grain 1 and 2. We can put them in different positions. So we could have at Mitcheldean, we could have that one come into number 5 like that, and then that one, Mitcheldean Port, might as well come into, oh, it doesn't like this, come into number 1. Why not? There we go. Right, it doesn't like something else. Train. Okay, that's this train. Is that a platform length problem? It's not the platform length. Oh, it can't turn around because it doesn't have a way. It's come into the wrong platform. No, wait. It can't get back here for some reason. Pretty interesting, because that should be able to flip around. If you turn that around, it thinks it can't leave, even though it seems to have a clear run through there. Okay, the signaling looks okay. Kind of confused as to why it doesn't like this. If we put a signal on this part of the track, I could understand it, but there isn't one. That interchange there should just work. I've just realised the problem is that it's actually in the wrong platform, isn't it? That's the actual issue here. This is a Mablethorpe grain, and it's come out of that depot. How has the game even done this? It's come out of that depot, it's gone down the brown track, and then somehow, somewhere along the line, ended up here. And now it can't get back over there, which is understandable because it shouldn't even be here. That is very weird. Let's try that. That is super, super odd. How did that train end up over here? Like, there's literally no connection that would allow it to do that. It would have had to have spawned at a different depot, but I'm pretty certain, guys, that we created it out of this depot. Oh, I know what it did. It jumped. That needs to be a double slip. What it is I've barreled through with 2 extra tracks, and that track there only fed onto this third one. As we look at it, 1, 2, 3, it only fed to here, which is the blue line. So it put it on here, took it to the platform, couldn't get back on this side here. So if you make that double slip, it can then turn straight onto this track. Interesting. Interesting one. That one threw me. Anyway, right. So what we've got here, we've got the alcohol grain 1 and 2. So that's waiting for 120 seconds. We'll make that one wait for 120 seconds. And then what we're going to do is we're going to allocate... We're going to look at the vehicles on this. It's got 9 vehicles. I would suggest we take 3 off here and put it onto the other line. And then we'll take those 3 and double them and colour them dark blue. And what we should then have is 6 on each line there, both feeding same port, which should give it increased capacity. Where have you gone? There it is. You should have one going in there and one going in there. They should both feed the same thing. And what we'll see now is a splitting of cargo. There you go. So it should come off the grain 1 line and put it on the grain 2 because it's going to the same place, just via a different, in quotes, line. And the plastic's now starting to get some grain. So that will take some time to settle down. Meanwhile, our goods factory is finally, at last, leveling up. We are producing more goods. We are allocating more to Romsey, more to Hyde. Power leveling up now. This thing is power leveling up. We're starting to supply it with a reasonable amount of grain. All we need to do now, if we just speed this game up a little bit, is wait for our new grain supply to settle down. Let me just see what's going on over here. There's a lot of waiting there, aren't there? So the consumer's allocating to the alcohol, which is not good because I want the chem really. But it'll have to find its own level. This thing now, we're going to need another train. Probably going to need 3 on here, so I think we'll just throw 3 on it right now. I think there's more than enough demand. And yeah, that is now rocking and rolling. Things are looking good. If we look at Hyde now, it should... Where's Hyde gone? There's Hyde. Hyde is now getting some more goods, but we'll definitely get a lot more in the future. And if we look at what's happening with our tools now, this thing here, we have tools starting to build up. Not out of control though. There it goes. So yeah, it's distributing tools around the network. I thought this would have leveled up a bit better than it is. Where's the actual train for that? Okay, the money level's starting to come up, but it's not crazy good at the moment. But it is starting to move tools. I think what it's doing is it's actually nicking tools from here now and bringing them back so it can redistribute into Henley. Which is not... Because I just saw it unload tools, which means it was dropping tools off here, which it must have taken from Ludgersaw. So what you're seeing now is the game balancing the tools out. Goods that are coming in, tools that are coming in on the ship being trucked over there and then taken back here so they can be trucked into Henley. Presumably because Henley has more of a demand. This is now acting as a shuttle. You could force it not to by changing the line setup. This thing here, you could basically say don't pick up tools, you know, when you get to Ludgersaw, just unload. We could force it, but I think if you look here, yeah, you see, look, Henry's Ludgersaw, it's allocating tools to go backwards to rebalance the network. You know, not what we thought would happen. You get paid either way, but you know, we'll just leave it. I think let it get on with it. Let it balance itself out. Just not what was expected to happen. And hopefully, finally, before we go, let's have a look at our was the giant bus problem. So we've still got a lot of congestion going on here. I think it's just sheer volume of annoying traffic down here, and there's nothing I can do about that traffic. I might have to consider sending some... We've got too many bus routes coming down this one section of road. I think I'll have to reconfigure that. Just so we don't have quite so many down there. But I think we've run out of time, guys. It's, again, a little bit all over the place, this video. Tweaking things left, right, and centre. That's the nature of the game. It's where you end up now. The bigger picture is almost done. And if you look at the actual cargo supply... barring Ludgersaw machines, we are now taking stuff into every single town. We are almost done. We do want to take machines into there. Want to make sure we've got some good supplies. There's not much goods going to Hyde yet. That should pick up. And then maybe we'll stick in a TGV and a passenger aircraft or something and then call it a day. Let me know in the comments, by the way, will you want this save game at the end or not? Is it of interest? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for your support. Thanks for watching. If you're still here, you're cool because you're still here. A lot of people would have quit this video by now because, you know, they've got other things to watch. So thanks for supporting the video. Thanks for listening to me. And don't forget to tell your friends about the video series. And I shall see you on the next one. Take care, guys. Happy constructing.